Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Open Office Hours. My name is Brandy, and I will let the ladies introduce themselves.
Hey everybody, it's Tatiana. Welcome.
Hi everybody, it's Hannah. Happy Friday.
Yes, happy Friday. We've made it, you guys. It's like almost Saturday for some. Maybe it is. We're so happy that you chose to spend your Friday with us. What we're going to do today, if this is your first time or you've been to, 50 of these before, welcome back. This is a safe space for you guys to ask any and all questions that have been coming to mind over the last week or since the last time that you attended this session. There is absolutely no agenda and no questions off the table. We will be using the Q&A. So if you guys would pop your questions into the Q&A, that helps us stay organized. You'll notice you won't be able to chat in the actual chat box, but the three of us will be dropping some links in the chat box for you throughout today's session. If you're asking us a question and we say, hey, we have a video for that, or hey, here's a knowledge base article, we're going to pop that in the chat session. Important to notice that when today's session ends, those chat links are no longer available. So we're going to try our hardest. And I know there's one of you all in here that always gives us a reminder, like a 10-minute warning. So we will try our hardest to give you a 10-minute warning to grab all of those links. You're also probably going to notice we're going to be looking away a little bit just to read your Q&A. So we have a couple of screens that we'll do that on. Let's see, technical support. We're not technical support as much as we would love to be, and we know an awful lot about the platform. We would just ask that if it is a technical related issue or something that you're having, please reach out to support. We might be, as you're asking questions, you might say, man, I see other questions that were asked after me and we're answering those. I promise it's because we're asking someone else and maybe we don't know the answer, so we're going to get back to you. But let us know. I don't think there's anything else. If you ladies have anything to add to that, we're just super excited to get started with you all today, and feel free to start asking those questions in the Q&A. Welcome.
I'll grab this Mac one. This is a very fair and valid question. Or I'm sorry, Brandy, go ahead. I saw you just clicked it. Yeah, you're good.
You got it.
Anonymous says, I was told Splashtop for Mac is coming soon, back in March. How much sooner can we expect that? So I'm really sorry about that wait. This is the exact reason why we don't publish a public roadmap, is because we will not ship something if it is not ready. So our Splashtop was actually just integrated way back in March, or I'm sorry, in May, I think is when we just released it. And the Mac piece of it, we understand how important it is to you guys since our Mac is in beta. That is a huge piece, is being able to remote into those endpoints. And that is something that we're working on. So unfortunately, I still don't have a concrete timeline for you. Like I said, we would never ship something if it's not ready, just because we told you it's going to be here on Friday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We would never do that, because if it's not ready, there's no point to release it just because we promised a specific timeline. So I know that doesn't, I don't know, hopefully it makes you feel a little bit better that we're not going to release something that doesn't work if it doesn't pass the level of quality that we're looking for, or if it's just not where it needs to be, it's not going to be released. So again, I don't want to give false hope. I know that they're actively working on it. I know they are putting the finishing touches to it. So hopefully it's not going to be much longer. But beyond that, I don't have a ton more information to share about that.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be soon, but just in light of some recent security features or things that happen, not with Syncro, but in the industry, we definitely took a step back, and those are more important. Hopefully you guys can understand that as well, that those are more important to ship those security features first. So testing is going really, really well. Like Tatiana said, like everything is in line. It's going to be here, promise. And thank you. Hannah just dropped in the chat box. So your first link of the day to go ahead and grab is going to be your security and reliability doc. And this goes with Rob's question about explaining how Syncro protects our data and compliancy. So I see that link in there. Go ahead and grab it. Definitely want to make sure that you guys are taking a look at that. And if you have specific security related questions, we're not at liberty to discuss that on today's call. So please reach out to security@syncromsp.com, and I can pop that in here at syncromsp.com. And I also see a question. Craig is asking, Syncro is working on new security security features. I don't know the details of everything. So again, I think I would just reach out to our security team. But yes, we're beefing up security. It's like super top of mind for everyone. And I hope you know we're not dodging a question. It's not our position here. And then I also have a question. Oh, my question disappeared. Oh, here we go. Josh, when using the low disk space monitors, how can you monitor all drives but exclude CD-ROM? I'm just going to show you how to monitor drives inside of Syncro, and if any of the ladies have anything to add to this, feel free. But there's going to be a couple different places. So one of those is going to be in the policies itself. If I go into my policy, and I'm just going to open one up here, you're going to see your low hard drive space alerts here, and this is going to monitor all the drives right here. If we're looking at actual, let me pop open my automated remediations here for you. And to my knowledge, there's not a way to like exclude something. I don't know with like using scripting if there's something you can do there, but in terms of like your monitors, it's going to either be in the policy or it's going to be here in your automated remediations. So that would be the way to handle the monitoring right now. If you guys have anything else to add to that, let me know.
Thank you so much, Brandy. I'll grab this question from Anonymous. Any plans for a GUI for Syncro backups instead of just a file pathway to add locations? And with that, any type of tiering where we can manually create to sell and price out clients? So I do know that the backup solution is getting some new updates and features that they are working on. We aren't privy to any of the specifics yet, but if you have any recommendations or things you'd like to see, we do recommend to write them into technical support where they can log them as a feature request. And so I did drop that into the chat box just in case you needed it.
Yeah, and I was going to say too with that, like in terms of selling like 25 gigs, 50 gigs, things like that to your customers, you can do, I can share my screen with you real quick if I've got the right one up here. One thing that you can do like in your billing, this of course isn't like when you're presenting it to your customer, but on the recurring invoice, you also have the ability to say, okay, for this customer, I'm just going to bill them, let me go to backup. So let's just say I'm going to bill them based on storage. So I'm going to give them maybe 50 gigs or 25 gigs. Anything over that, I'm going to, this is the wrong part. I would unselect this to bill for all storage. So I could say, okay, anything over 50, I'm going to bill them, or anything over 250, I'm going to bill them this price. So you can definitely handle it that way as well. It's just not something that's, you know, customer facing. That is a marketing piece of material.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I have a feature request from Chuck. He says subtotal sections of estimates and invoices, kind of like ad hoc bundles maybe, but listing the bundled items. So yeah, I do get this request pretty often. It would be really nice to see kind of the subtotals with those bundles before you get the total subtotal and then add tax and then the actual total. So yes, I totally hear you on that, Chuck. I will pass that along to the team. I know we just shipped those on the fly ad hoc bundles. So maybe that would be something that we're able to add to the templates in the future. So I have a great question from Robert. And since we don't have a ton of questions, there's only one other one in there. I wanted to take some time to really dive into this one together to make sure that, we're explaining this in a way that is super understandable and easy to implement. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here and kind of just walk you guys through. Like I said, since there's not a ton of questions in our Q&A, I want to make sure, obviously this session is being recorded, so you can always look back at this video and take a closer look and set this up in the way that you want it. So I'm going to spend a couple minutes here. Robert says, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Can you, from a top level, describe how to set up recurring billing for MSP clients? And if there are 3 packages, gold, silver, and bronze, how does this function? I have had Syncro for several months now and do not see a clear and concise way to implement this, or did I miss this in the documentation? So let me walk you through this. First things first, when you are onboarding a new customer, this is going to be one of the steps that you need to do, is to set up a recurring invoice through Syncro. But if the way that you are offering your services to your customers is packaged into the 3 different levels, gold, silver, and bronze, that is the first piece that you'll actually need to set up, and that's going to be here in your policy section. So if you head over to your policies through Syncro and you click new policy in here, you would do the same exact process over and over again. I'm going to do the bronze one, so you can say bronze package or bronze policy, whatever you want to call it, next. And then you are going to adjust all of the settings that you are applying for the bronze package. Maybe on bronze, you are monitoring just the basics like the low HD space, the agent offline alert, the CPU memory usage, but maybe you're not including Bitdefender or any antivirus offering. So the point here is you would set up your policy with the triggers at that bronze level that you want, scroll all the way down to the bottom and save those changes. So right now, how it works before we release policy inheritance is now if we go over to our products and services section, this bronze package should already exist here as a product through Syncro. So I'm going to go ahead and click into that bronze package. Again, at this point in time, as we're speaking today on August 6, 2021, this is how it works. When we do policy inheritance, it'll switch a little bit, it'll be a little bit different. But the point is, here's the bronze package. It now exists as a product. So this is where you can fill out the rest of description. Includes this, doesn't include that, whatever description you want to include in here. You can include a price retail. So maybe you're charging, I don't know, $20 for this type of a bronze endpoint. Your retail, what is it costing you, any notes that you want in here. So go ahead and create that product now. Or it exists, but just update it with the notes that you have in there. Once the product exists in here, now you're going to be able to add it to a recurring invoice for your customer. So you would say, yep, I want to go to the invoices section, invoice modules, recurring invoices. Go ahead and open up a brand new recurring invoice. Again, I'm just going to build a fresh one from scratch so you can follow along. And this is, again, when you're onboarding a new customer, you would say, yep, for Larry's business, we're going to create a recurring invoice. We're going to say, monthly bill. Whatever, you can be more creative than I am right now. Monthly, you can say we're going to bill on the 1st of every month. We're going to bill upfront in advance since you are billing for work that is coming in the future, since you're doing proactive monitoring, or maybe in arrears. It's up to you what you want to select there. You can set the rest of these settings in here, pull in pending ticket charges if you want to or not. We'll talk about emailing the customer, but I'm just going to go ahead and select those and create the schedule. The biggest point in your question specifically about the gold, silver, and bronze is you want to scroll down to the bottom right here where it says add line item, and you want to bill off of the RMM package. So this is where you would say, yep, I am billing off of, where is our bronze package right here? It would pull in your price and you would add that to the template. And you would do that for both silver and bronze if you have the 3 different tiers for the same customer for some reason. You would just build that out as separate line items in here. And this quantity is a dynamic quantity to where if you deploy, let's say 5 assets that are going to be monitored by this bronze package for this customer, this number will jump up to 5 for you dynamically when you deploy those agents under this policy. So if your customer goes out and hires 10 new employees, this number will now jump to 15 without you having to remember to go update their recurring invoice. So that would be the basics of how you would set up those 3 different pricing packages. Is go to the policies, build out a bronze, silver, and gold, go to the product, update the pricing, and then once the product exists, create that recurring invoice on the schedule that you want, pulling in pending ticket charges for anything above and beyond what you do for proactive monitoring. If you're wanting to email the customer automatically, set that up in here. If you're doing automatic withdrawals from credit card or ACH payments, set up the payment providers in the App Center. And then all of this will sync over to QuickBooks Desktop Online or Xero automatically for you without you having to lift a finger at the end of the month. If automation is your goal, you could set it up that way. But the point is, once the product exists, use this RMM package counter to where it will dynamically go to that policy and check and use this dynamic counter to update the quantities as necessary for bronze, silver, or gold at that point. So I'm going to check the Q&A. I don't see any additional questions. If anything else pops up, if you need more clarity, let me know. I'll also drop into the chat box. I think our manager Crystal did a deep dive on the billing models and every single way that we support them. So I will, yep, I just dropped that into the chat box. So if you have additional questions, let us know. Looks like we have some time. The questions aren't flowing in as quickly as they usually do. So if you have follow-up questions around billing or anything else, please let us know. That's what we're here for.
Awesome. Thanks, Tatiana. That was great. Always love when we have the extra time to show you guys features. And with that in mind, if there is anything that you're curious about that you haven't had the opportunity to dive into, it seems like today we might have time. Everyone's sleepy today, not asking as many questions. So feel free to, pop in even a subject and let us know what you'd like us to cover today. Miles, I don't know anything about the auto printer outage. Honestly, that would be a support thing. We usually have no idea. So definitely reach out to support there. And then Craig is asking, where is Crystal? We do miss Crystal today. I know it's just not like a full team, but she is on a much deserved vacation. So we miss her a lot, but she deserves it, and hopefully you guys can understand.
Most
Are we
important
not
question.
good enough? Yeah, that was a really good question, though. I should have mentioned that in the beginning. Question from Craig. Excuse me. Can you enable a product you disabled? Can you delete a product instead of disable? So with this too, we would recommend that you don't delete a product, because if it was on any previous invoices or tickets, it would no longer be there. So the biggest thing is I would not do that. Now, I was looking, because I know just natively in the system there isn't a way to delete that. I looked at a previous ticket and it recommended that you go into, I can share my screen, and I'll just tell you exactly what it says here. So it says that you should go into the admin section. You'll go down to the inventory section, and then you'll do, oh, you know what? It's not in here. It's actually in the report section. There's an inventory export, and it's going to be in the report section. And then you will export to get the template that you need to edit. You'll open the template in Excel. I won't pull that up for you. And then if you'll find the delete column and put true for the item you want to remove, then you can save it, go back into the inventory section and import. So a lot of work, but it can be done if it's something that you don't have, like if maybe it was a mistake and you don't have it on previous imports or excuse me, invoices. So do that. And then Larry says, good morning, I'm new to Syncro MSP. Welcome, and currently learning each section. And I just had a question about the customer section. So let's just pull up Larry here. I'm just waiting for the question to come up today, Hannah, about.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I'm not even going to mention it because I know you guys are going to say it. So here I am. I'm on Larry's business. And he says under the assets section, let's just go down here. Should there be anything displayed under the remote column? Yes, so what's going to be shown here is it's going to show either your remote access. This will take you directly into Splashtop, and then it'll also have the backgrounding tools, which will take you into Syncro Live. If you don't have anything there, it's because it's an unmanaged device, meaning it doesn't have the Syncro agent installed. It might be, and not necessarily unmanaged, I should say, it doesn't have the agent installed. So you'll see this is an SNMP device. If it was like an iPad, an iPhone, anything else that you've manually entered. Otherwise, it should have the remote access options here. Hopefully that helps.
Awesome, thank you so much. Anonymous is asking, any way to hide customers that have become inactive? There are that no longer we support but want to keep them as a customer, ticket history and payments. Yes, you can archive those customers. So here on the customers page, that if I wanted to just go ahead and archive the customer because maybe they're not as active with me anymore, I can go ahead and select them and then hit bulk actions and archive. And so once they are archived, you can access them by hitting this customer modules, and then I'll go ahead and hit show archived, but then that way those archived clients are not showing on this main customer list. The same thing can be done for contacts. And so essentially not archiving them, but you can mark them as inactive. And a good way to do that would be to create a custom field for them to where you can mark them as kind of an inactive contact and things like that. And then I just wanted to pick up on showing where to see the disabled products. So in the products and services section under inventory modules, we will have a view disabled items. So Brandy did go over the deletion of them, but then if you want to just view the disabled ones, they are going to be in there as a list for you.
Thank you for that. And while you're on that page too, Tatiana mentioned to me, I totally forgot, but in the products and services section, there's is it the export that's in there or the import? Yeah. Thank you for.
Oh, awesome.
I know it's in the report section, but I'm pretty certain, but it is here too.
Love it.
Awesome. Teamwork. Thank you so much, both of you guys. This is super fun. I'm really glad to be here. And thank you all for joining. I know summer is kind of wild, so it does feel good to have a little bit slower of a pace to where we can really dive into. So that's what I'm going to do for the next questions here as well regarding billing. So Josh says, we currently use QuickBooks Online to process ACH and other payments. Does Syncro integrate with QuickBooks payments, or is WorldPay the only option? So I'm going to share my screen. I'll show you guys the different paths that you can take to accepting money through Syncro. So we offer 3 different payment processors. If you go to the App Center, we're going to scroll down just a little bit and I will show you we integrate with WorldPay, PayPal, as well as Stripe. PayPal is an easy one to get started with. With PayPal, your customer can only make a payment via their customer portal. So this is going to be like option number 1. Option number 2 is Stripe. They can make a credit card payment via the customer portal, and you can plug in their Stripe payment profile into a recurring invoice to automatically accept payments. So PayPal is manual credit card payment processing. Stripe is manual credit card payment processing plus automatic credit card payment processing. Option number 3 is WorldPay. We say that's our preferred payment processor because it also includes ACH payments. So WorldPay is also somewhere right here, in our App Center. With all 3 of these, you would bring your own license of these and set it up with us for free. What I mean when I say that is any rates negotiated, like you literally have to apply to WorldPay. They'll run your credit. They'll ask you, your transaction volume for the month, stuff like that. You can negotiate pricing on your rates with WorldPay. So if you use any of those 3 options, again, you set all of that up with them. You basically plug it into Syncro. So now when you go to your recurring invoice section here, when you've built out this template for your customer, if you're using Stripe or WorldPay, there's going to be a new section in here where you can basically choose that as a payment profile, and it'll automatically start charging them right within Syncro on the schedule that you specify right here. So if you were choosing payment process or considering payment processing through Syncro, those are the 3 options. We obviously do integrate with QuickBooks as well. So if for some reason you prefer to send invoices from QuickBooks and accept payments in QuickBooks, that's totally fine as well. If you're using QuickBooks Online, you can accept payments within QuickBooks, and that payment will sync backwards towards Syncro and mark this invoice as paid for you. So really the question comes down to is, number 1, where do you want your invoices to be emailed from? If you want it 100% automated, click this button right here. We will email it for you. If for some reason you prefer to email from QuickBooks, you can still use this recurring invoice template with pulling in your ticket charges with all the different line items that you build out in here. But once the invoice is created on the Syncro side, it will sync to QuickBooks. You can email from there, you can accept payment from there, and then that will sync backwards towards Syncro and mark this invoice as paid. So hopefully that is helpful to you. Please let me know if you have any additional questions. So to directly address, we do not integrate with QuickBooks payments in our App Center. You would sync the invoice there, accept the payment there, and then it would mark the Syncro invoices paid. So that answers your question there, Josh.
Follow up there, Tatiana. Rob says Stripe does offer ACH payments. It does, but not with our integration. We don't integrate with that. So
that's correct. Yeah. Thank you so much, Brandy. And then Phil says we bill out monthly at the end of the month for all customers. We also have some services we bill for quarterly. What's the best way to automate this process? For example, we bill labor monthly and our backup products quarterly. I would just build out 2 separate invoices for that. You can say monthly recurring invoice, and pulling in pending ticket charges. So any time tracked or any other services that you're offering on a monthly basis that you want to build out as line items down here, and just set that to be running on a monthly basis. And then go back and create a second invoice and say this one is going to be running quarterly. For on the quarterly one, it's going to be maybe the 15th of every month, so it's not at the same time, or maybe you do want it at the same time. Again, to you when you set that, and then just build out that backup or whatever you're billing on a quarterly basis in a separate recurring invoice. So hopefully that helps there, Phil. I think those are the only ones that I grabbed. So I will stop sharing, let the ladies take over.
I have one from Andy, just says an integration with Go Cardless would be great. I use it for direct debits, popular in the UK. I hear you. I get that one often. We are working on something new, but I am not 100% certain which one it is. I think that's all I have, but I'll keep reading these.
I'm gonna grab that last one there from Larry. He says, can we look at the RMM package template? Sorry, just getting ready to set up our contracts and invoicing. Would like to see how you start a contract and see how you add a client and services, etc. So there's a couple questions wrapped into one there. So I'm going to share my screen. Larry, let's take it back to the beginning and just say when you are onboarding a new customer, which steps you might want to consider taking in order to make sure that the billing is set up and make sure you're getting paid for the work that you're doing. So when you initially onboard a brand new customer, one of the steps that you'll want to take obviously is to build out a recurring invoice for them. And I did go through that in depth, so I'm not going to, take the next 5 minutes to talk through that, but this is where you would say, yep, for Larry's business, I want to go into the invoices section and I want to go to the invoice modules, recurring invoices, and basically build out a brand new recurring invoice for that specific customer. Or if there's one template that you have in here that you kind of just use for everybody, you can quickly duplicate that so you don't have to build it out fresh each and every single time. So that would be, I think, step number one is setting up a recurring invoice for the customer. The other thing you want to consider too is if you are offering special per customer pricing. So what I mean when I say that is if let's say your standard labor rate is $250 an hour, but for this customer right here, for some reason, you want to give them a discount. Maybe they're a brand new business. You want to just help them out for their first year. This is where you would set up a brand new contract. And you would say, for this customer, I'm estimating they would pay me, I don't know, $12,000 a year, $1,000 a month. And then likelihood of closing is 100%. We already brought them. You're kind of just filling out the details of like when they're starting, how long you're planning to be in business with them, or how long you sign the contract for. Notes, if you have an SLA, you would pop it into here. And then you would say contract applies to all tickets or no. I'm going to say yes, create the contract. The most important piece that I see a lot of MSPs using contracts for through Syncro is actually this piece right here, this per customer pricing override. So this is where you would say, usually for labor, I'm billing, $250 an hour, but per this contract, because I want to give this customer a discount, I'm actually going to bill $125 an hour, add the override. And now anytime you add labor onto any estimate, ticket, or invoice, it will be this updated pricing for this customer moving forward. So when you say you're getting ready to set up contracts and invoicing, those would be the two different pieces. Is obviously set up the customer profile. Your products should already exist in Syncro of the different labor offerings, any hardware, anything else that you're reselling to the customer, and then pull those into a recurring invoice for your customer with the different line items that you're going to bill them. If you have any special pricing, use contracts for that. So let me know if that's helpful to you, Larry, or if you have any follow-up questions there.
I do see a follow-up one there, Tatiana. He said, I see. So in Syncro, a contract is a recurring invoice. It is not.
It gets, Larry says yes.
Well,
yeah.
I thought he meant our recurring invoice is a contract. Yeah, it's like in most other platforms, what they call a contract, right, is like what we would call a recurring invoice. Yeah.
Yeah,
I had to read through that one.
Yeah, I think in ConnectWise they call them agreement. I think this is like a verbiage type of a thing.
I think Autotask too.
Yeah, coming from Connect. Yeah. So technically, the recurring invoice is what they're going to be sent on a monthly basis. The contract through Syncro is where you're kind of just keeping track of like what you agree to and if there's any special pricing. Okay,
Perfect. That was
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Larry. Yeah, great follow-up question. Happy to help.
That's me. When there's silence, I'm like, I know it's me. Josh says, under the ticket section, is there a way to exclude resolved tickets from the total ticket count? For example, X of X tickets. The total ticket count is going to grow without any end in sight. Let me just share my screen. I want to make sure I'm understanding which section you're referring to too. So I'm on the ticket section. I don't know exactly where you're looking because if I just click on tickets, that's what I see here. And now I can exclude. So I can say, okay, it's going to exclude resolved tickets. I don't know if that's what you want to do. Another thing to help you organize tickets is to create like a saved ticket search. And so I have the ability to check multiple things here. And if you just want to see like that list, and you can even have your default view here, then maybe you want to do it that way. Let me know if it's a certain 41. Okay, he says 41 of 11. Top right. Oh, right here. Yeah, I think I'm confused on what we're wanting to do here. So if I unselect this one, oh, it still says of that many tickets. I don't know. Let me know a little bit more on what we're wanting to do. Status is definitely one that you can change. This can't be customized right here.
Yeah, I think that's what they're asking for, is to see like if it's resolved for it to not be in that ticket count.
Included in the ticket count total. I gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry about that one. We can definitely pass that along though.
I'll grab a couple here. I have a question from Chuck. He says, you mentioned that with the QuickBooks Online integration, payments done in QuickBooks Online flow backwards towards Syncro. Do you know if the same happens with QuickBooks Desktop? Chuck, it does not. So what I recommend, Brandy, if you'll let me share real quick. There we go.
I guess.
So here with QuickBooks Desktop specifically, it depends. If you are accepting like physical checks, I actually recommend just marking the invoice as paid here on the Syncro side, because like if you say, oh, yep, I just accepted a check for $130, you can say bulk actions and quick pay and just mark it as paid very like fast. And that way it will mark this, obviously invoice is paid on the Syncro side and in QuickBooks Desktop. But if you mark a invoice as paid or accept a payment in QuickBooks Desktop, it will not sync backwards towards Syncro. So if it's a check, I would mark it as paid here on the Syncro side. It's easier for us to flow information in that direction. And then I have another one here that I'm going to grab. Oh, Randy says, any good integrations with something like DocuSign? If so, how does it work? We don't right now. A lot of people request integrations with like DocuSign, or I think PandaDoc is another really popular one. What we do have in Syncro is they can accept a payment via the customer portal. We just don't have a way to collect a signature. So I'm sure there's some creative workarounds to this at the time being. So I'll show you from the customer's perspective. I wonder if we have an open estimate or if I'll have to build a new one. Yeah, I'll have to build a new one real quick. So when you're building out new estimates for potential clients or current clients, you would say, yep, for Larry's business, create estimate. And I want to bill them for a laptop and labor hours, whatever it might be. I'm just going to create that one really quick. So create the estimate on your side, publish it. It would be now available via the customer portal. So estimate 1272 is now going to appear here. This PDF is customizable. So I don't know if there's a way to either put in, like send it when you're emailing them, the estimate here. So actions email, if you want to put in, please view your PDF and then create a signature using this link or something like that, and then link it to DocuSign, or I don't know, like the best way to set this up. But you could, that might be one workaround there. But if requiring a physical signature is not a must-have, they can preview the estimate straight from the customer portal, and then they can click approve from here. You can get notified about it, and now you can turn this estimate either into a ticket or into an invoice, depending on your flow there. So hopefully that's helpful to you, Randy.
Thank you so much, Tatiana. Okay, I'm going to grab a couple in here. Phil has a follow-up question just on the invoices. So it can't be on one invoice with like the different frequencies on a quarterly basis. Some customers would get to that month. He's just clarifying. And the answer is yes. Currently, it is a feature request to have multiple frequencies on the same invoice. And so they would be getting to that month, but we can pass that along for you, or you can write that into help@syncromsp.com. Gary has a question. What is the best way to stop a pending script from executing? To my knowledge, and I don't know if the ladies know otherwise, there's not a way to stop a pending script from executing. I would recommend writing that into technical support. They might be able to give you some more information on that, but I don't believe that there is a way to accomplish that. And then Craig has a question. So if we have an MSP contract, but also bill labor for certain work, do we have just one contract and add labor to it? And then there's a follow-up question here. We'd have different labor rates for clients with an MSP contract, and that's why I'm asking in the previous question. No problem, Craig. I'm going to go ahead and review it with you here. And so when you are setting up your labor items for being able to add those to tickets, you want to do so in the products and services section. So here under my labor section, I'm going to set up absolutely everything that I offer with my different labor rates and just what my standard would be. If someone called me time and materials, perfect. Here's the rate that they're going to get. These labor rates are what are going to show up inside the ticket. And so let's say, okay, for my different clients, maybe it is like a kind of a good, better, best type structure where they're kind of going to have different rates of these depending on what contract they're on with me. Perfect. What we're going to do is head over to the contract section and then create them a contract based on those labor rates. And then that way you can edit them depending on who it is. So, okay, coffee beans, we got them here. And now what we're going to do is pull through those labor rates. And maybe they're not even zeroed out. Maybe they're just discounted depending on who you have that contract with. And so now we're going to come through here and we're either going to zero out the ones that are completely included or just discount the rates depending on who they are with me. And you can clone these. That way, if people are on the same ones, that you can edit that. And then we want to apply that to all the tickets. That way, when we're inside a ticket, that now when we choose from our labor dropdown, some of them will be zeroed out depending on the contract or just discounted. And then, so then that way, all of the ones that are not zeroed out, so in the add view charges, we can see rates that are zeroed out based on that contract, but also rates that have been labor being added to that ticket. These become pending ticket charges that you can either invoice right away or add to their recurring invoice to then be billed at that time. So then in the recurring invoice schedule, we have this awesome option called add any pending ticket charges. So now those pending labor items that were outside of the contract or just billable to that contract then need to be billed to the client. And it can be done so on their recurring invoice, or you can make just even a separate recurring invoice to pull just all those ticket charges and then bill them that way. So hopefully that answers your question. Let me know if you have any follow-up there. And I'm going to take one more from Randy. We receive many emails when a new ticket is created, usually 2 to 3 at least. Anything new to reduce this? I find the tech starting to ignore all the info from Syncro and emails because some of them are noise. I'm so sorry about that. Our current recommendation is to just go through your notification sets and really customize down how you want the technicians to be receiving those emails and specify, okay, these team members, I really want them only notified for a new ticket via an SMS text message or via a mobile push. That way their emails aren't getting too clogged up with too many notifications there. I also dropped in the chat box this knowledge base just about what emails get sent out from Syncro and when. I came up with this with another client this week, just with like when comments get added or when things get sent out, and there's a little bit more information there, and that'll be in the chat box for you.
I'll grab this top one here from Randy. He says, we are going to be doubling down and putting a ton of documentation using the Syncro wiki. I would like a way to email, print, or export this information as a PDF. Any tips for documentation, useful tags, or anything else would be appreciated. So yes, let me share my screen and I will show share some of the things that I know here. So really the main thing is documentation is super straightforward through Syncro. It's really easy to use. It's built right in, doesn't cost anything extra. Randy, I know you've been with us for a while, but this is for the folks that maybe are new to Syncro. So regarding documentation, what's helpful here is when you create a new page, you can either keep it internal just for you and your text. You can make it available to all customer portals, like, hey, this is our company holidays. We will be closed, 4th of July, whatever else days that you might list there, business hours, stuff like that. You can build out templates, which is pretty useful, meaning you can say you can pull in templates or create a brand new one from scratch, and then now it will be available via that template section right here. Or you can say, I want it to be available just to this one specific customer portal. Easiest example there is like a company directory, so that they know who they need to reach out to internally for HR policies or whatever it might be. So I'll show you what this looks like from the customer portal as well. It's here. And again, just anything that you make available will be listed here. Any photos that you include, or I'm sorry, that's attachments. Any photos that you include, employee directory as mentioned is going to be listed right here from their employee directory, any credentials, stuff like that. So regarding tags, obviously those are going to be all listed right here. I created one just kind of copy pasting the top 5. Again, it works as expected. It will just list every available tag that you want to include, whatever is important to you. So I'll show you that one. Literally just a copy paste type of a setup. It'll pull in anything that's attached to that specific customer. It'll pull that in just like that. And then the last one I wanted to show is this left navigation. We tested this a couple weeks ago. I wrote, well, this is exciting. That comes from you putting left nav into the ticket title, or I'm sorry, the documentation title. So just like this, if we click into this one and we edit it, my text here is going to be, well, this is exciting, but the way that we get it in that left navigation section is by typing left-nav into the page name. So those are all the quote unquote tips and tricks that I have for you there. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Randy.
Thank you, Tatiana. Hannah, did you show how to stop a pending script? If not, I have it pulled up on my screen.
No, I didn't. I guess
Okay.
I thought it was if you submit a script to run, but it wasn't scheduled, it was like a run now, could you stop it? Which I didn't think you could do. But Randy's right.
No.
If you want to show, if it's scheduled, you can jump in and.
Yes, I was thinking that too, actually, exactly how you were thinking of it. But when Randy said that you can stop one that's scheduled, then yes, I could come in and do that. But once it starts, I have no idea. So thank you, Randy, for that. And then Larry says, can Syncro sync up with Forza? I have no idea what that is. I've never heard of that. I don't know if anyone else is familiar. But we don't have an integration. I'm not sure what it is, but we do have an open REST API. So a lot of people build connections that way or use our Zapier integration. But again, without me knowing what that is, it's hard for me to tell you. Craig is asking, I haven't asked recently, but is there any plan for a QuoteWorks integration yet? Not to my knowledge, haven't heard of one. Not to say that we won't have one though. And then Larry says, I see there is now a last boot time on the assets in RMM screen. So it's actually not new. I can share my screen with you over here. You probably just don't have that part showing. So if you go to the assets in RMM tab, where I show it, if you just go to customize right here, you can choose what's going to show. So you likely just don't have that, and you can reorder however you would like to. So that's a little tip for all of you guys. That's it for me.
Slightly panicking because I thought I was next, but looks like none of us know who's next. We're gonna grab them. I'm gonna. Oh, go ahead, Hannah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna grab the creating a parts order from an estimate, and then I think there's another comment if there's a smooth way to create a parts order for an estimate, and so I'm just going to grab that. So, and these are questions from Chuck. Hi, Chuck. Welcome. Okay, so with the parts module, Accessing it from an estimate is not available at this time. We can pass it along as a feature request. With the estimates, when you create a manual item, there isn't kind of a way to then, okay, turn this into where we needed to make it a part, unless you're going to bring it into a ticket first. So if you bring it into a ticket though, that it will go ahead and let's just kind of do it here. We'll go ahead and create our ticket really quick. And go ahead and create that. Okay, so it does bring the charges already in here. And so once then you're in the ticket, you could execute a part order, but then you just want to be careful because if you put charges on the part order, it'll then bring those onto the ticket. So we don't want to double charge. One thing you can do is if there are some things that are common that you do order that then maybe you are maintaining stock on it and it is low, or you say that you have one and then it is low. If you add those items to an estimate, it'll bring you to where you could execute a purchase order to then order that from a particular vendor that you have. But there isn't a way to go straight from the estimate to a parts order. We can pass that along as a feature request.
This is your 15-minute warning. I remembered to grab your links out of the chat box. So go ahead and grab those. And while I'm unmuted, I'll also just mention there's not a way to list the Windows patches needed on a column in that asset list that I showed you how to customize, not at the time. You know what though? I'm going to show you something because on this really quickly, if there's like a certain patch that you're looking for on the Assets and RMM tab, I'm already there. Out to the left, this is like one of my favorite things. So if you've been on a demo with me and probably everyone else, you've likely seen this, but no one ever realizes what it is. So saved asset searches are awesome. And if you're looking for a group of devices that is missing a certain KB, you could do a search for those here. And then you could click into those devices and then you could select them in mass and do whatever it is that you need. Saved asset searches are awesome. You can bill dynamically from any saved search, meaning if you want to find everyone's Google Chrome and charge them a penny a month, you can without ever updating the invoice. If you want to script against these groups, send broadcast messages and send mass emails too. So there's a lot of money on the table here with upselling opportunities for you in these groups.
Okay, I'll go next. Andy says, so can the left nav be a hyperlink to another document? I tested it. I can't see of a way to do it. I'm going to share my screen and show you guys. But I'm also double checking with our support team. Maybe they know of a way to make it work that I don't. So I created a documentation page that says left-nav, and then mine is internal. I guess it doesn't really matter this part. But I put google.com, saved it, and then now when we're back in this documentation page, I was hoping that it would be a link just like this, so you could kind of just quickly like go over to the one that you need, but I don't see a way to do that, so I will let you know if I hear something else.
I'm going to grab this question from Bruce, joining late. No problem, Bruce. You're welcome to join at any point during the session. But I have a question about outtake forms. Is there a way for me to add ticket timer notes of work that was done to the template? Can't seem to find the tag, but I'd like the form as detailed as possible when we return the equipment and the client signs off. Great question. So I was just doing some testing here with the outtake forms. It doesn't look like the comments, or the notes from the ticket timer itself populate through. It looks like it's only going to be public comments that are added in that communication section. One thing you can add, I believe, to the template though, is a worksheet. And so I don't know if that would be helpful to then kind of dictate some extra notes that would be client facing, but it doesn't look like the timer notes themselves where it's in that box there can be added here. Those would need to be copied down into a public note to then show on the outtake form.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, thank you. Larry says he's been using those saved asset searches for a while since we showed those, but are they shareable? Shareable as in they should be global, right? They're global across all technicians. The saved asset searches, aren't they?
I thought they were global.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain those are global, but you can't like share them with I don't know who you share them with, but like there's
Same.
not like a repository. If that's what we're looking for, that would be awesome.
Saved asset searches are global. Saved ticket searches can be private. Like
yes.
You can have your own list of saved. So if maybe that's what you're looking for there.
Yeah, those definitely can be. And then very, very, oh, for your text, yeah, those can be. Tacos or burritos, and my answer is going to be quesadilla. So I don't know what yours is. Tacos or burritos? Tatiana and Hannah, you have to answer that one.
I'm gonna go with quesadilla too, because I feel like with quesadilla you can make like a breakfast, like with like an omelet with sour cream and tomato and avocado. But it's also like a good lunch menu, also good app for dinner too. So I feel like
I'm
it's just very
starving now.
versatile.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love that. I'm totally burritos, like all day, every day, except, and I know some of you think Taco Bell is gross, but except if I'm at Taco Bell, I would never get a burrito. I'd only get tacos. But any other legitimate, real, Mexican cuisine is burritos all day.
Awesome. I have not even read through this yet, so maybe it can be a team effort, but it's long. So here we go. Okay, this is from Tim. Okay, so I know I've heard this either on here in the past or Hannah. Ooh, what did Hannah tell you? Can't remember. Concerning Windows updates, I think Syncro can't suppress them, right? But can we create a policy, say for a server, but leave out any action item? The reason I ask for this is we want to manually update servers and not let Microsoft drive the bus. So if the server thinks Syncro is driving, but we don't have any action set up, then nothing would happen until we did it manually. Sorry if this causes anyone's head to hurt. Yeah, I've got to go now. No, time's up. No, honestly, what happens is we are essentially, when we're installing Syncro, we're looking for anything on that device that may be missing. So if you don't, I'll just share my screen with you. If you don't set up a patch policy, like if you have a server policy, a workstation policy, and by the way, if you do have every other setting set up the way you like it, but one small change, you can just clone this and make those changes. And maybe for the servers you don't have anything, what's going to happen is in your report section, of course on an individual device level, it's also going to show up as a missing patch, but on the RMM reports, missing patches by KB and vulnerable systems are both going to show here. And if you wanted to manually push those after, it's going to show anything that you didn't select in those categories. So definitely utilize these. If you guys can think of anything else, let me know. But this is probably your best bet, is just to not select the categories and then have it do this. And while we're here, Corey says that it won't update computers to 21 H1. So that is going to be handled. We don't handle like major feature updates. That would be handled via scripting. I feel like someone has one in the community script library, but if not, we aren't able to provide one just for security reasons if it isn't in there, but maybe Google or find someone in our Facebook or subreddit groups that has that. I'm sure someone does. Oh, if I don't select a policy, will it prevent Microsoft? No, ours just overrides what's local on the device. So if you don't select anything, it's probably going to do just what is set on the device, right? Might be a support thing, but I would say if you don't select a policy, it's probably going to go ahead and go with its standard Microsoft policy on the device.
Yes, Marcel. Yep. So if we want to not install updates, can we have just an empty policy? Yep. You absolutely can. Yep, just make sure you create that empty policy and then apply it. You create that empty Windows patch policy, and you have that probably running on a daily basis, and then make sure you're applying it to that kind of umbrella policy of the assets that you're looking to apply that Windows patch policy to.
This is also going to open a can of worms, but we do have the video on policy inheritance too, so we can drop that in because that's going to solve a lot of your server workstation policy type things.
Yeah.
So I can grab that and pop it in here for you guys.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Please don't ask. The first person to ask, we're booting you out when it's coming.
We don't know. We want it to be soon. We want it as badly as you guys do because you guys ask us and we care about it. So hopefully very, very soon. Guys, I learned something cool and exciting today. So thank you, Randy. Thank you, Andy, for sharing this with me because I got a little bit more details. I'm going to share something that I just learned like 5 seconds ago. So I'm going to share my screen. I'll show you what our tech support sent to me. So it looks like you can include custom links in that Left navigation bar. So I'll show you the example, then I'll show you the one that I tested. So if you put left navigation, can you guys see this? You guys can, right? Okay, yeah. So left navigation here in the page name, it can be an internal, but it looks like you have to use this little link button right here. And then you can insert the link, text to display, target if you want internal or external. And so I'll show you the one that I actually tested. This makes me so happy because I've been at Syncro for almost 3 years, and sometimes we don't get to dive into the nitty gritty because on, you know, like a 60-minute demo, we're just trying to show you like, here's A through Z top level what it can do, but learning something new about a software is super exciting too. So I created this one right here to where again, you do have to put left nav right here in the page name. I don't think this part matters, but if you guys know differently, let me know. I kept mine internal, and then in here, so this is how I set the link, is to use that link, select text to display, target, you can say I want it in a new window, okay. Same thing here, like you actually have to use the link button, which is the piece that I was missing. I previously just pasted Google and it didn't work, but here, same thing, I put Syncro MSP, text display, title, open it in a new window, okay, and then save. And now when we go to the documentation page, just like this, it will be listed, ta-da, just like that. So now if we click Google, it'll take us to Google. If we click Syncro, you can click Syncro. So now, yes, you can create like a more beautifully organized left navigation system to get as organized as possible. So there you go. We all learned something new today. Well, except for Randy and Andy. So thanks, guys. Oh, Andy says the penny has dropped, as they say here in the UK. This could be very useful. Awesome. Larry said, what could you use the left nav for? Andy said, oh, this is like a whole, now I'm just reading the text. You guys can all see.
To get more organized.
Yeah, put a URL of the page in the documentation. Yeah, I love that so much. Yes, thank you guys. This is super fun.
Scripting, del command updates. Yeah, that wouldn't be native. It would be done via scripting. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, let me clear these out. I like that phrase too. The penny has dropped. So cool.
We just have a couple more minutes here, you guys. Just about 3 more minutes. We'll give it a minute and see if anyone has any follow-up questions. This one's for you, Tatiana.
Oh man, hold on. I'm like reading and typing. Tatiana, where's your accent from? I have no idea what you're talking about. I have zero accent. Just kidding. Sometimes on demos, people are like, are you, I get weird ones. Like, are you Canadian? Are you Eastern European? My parents are from Ukraine and Russia. So I grew up here in the States, and I spoke it growing up. So I do have a little bit of an accent left. Not a lot of people detect it. I feel like I speak very clean English, but sometimes it slips through.
We like it, Tatiana. And Marcel, thanks for the support here. I think we all appreciate it. I'm glad we really appreciate you all. Paco, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is. Any word on the new sales tool components? I don't know, honestly.
What?
Andy told you something in December that he didn't tell us, so I don't know. I would say I'd be knocking on Andy's door. Screenshot what he said.
Yes, and tell us, because we want to know about new things also. Oh, Andy put in a link. He said the definition of the penny has dropped means that you mean that someone's suddenly realized or understood something. Yeah, absolutely, like light bulb. Absolutely. I wonder, there's got to be other phrases of that, but yeah, super cool. I love that. I guess the penny has dropped about the phrase, the penny has dropped.
We learned something today. We always learn from you guys. It's always fun. And Paco will ask. I'm happy to ask and see what they were talking about, what secrets they're keeping from us.
Chuck says, can we enlarge the logo in the estimate and invoice templates? Let me show you. I'm going to share. I know we only have just a minute left. If you go over to here, admin, you can edit the HTML. So PDF and email templates. So I don't know if that gives you the ability to stretch it in a bigger way, but other than editing the invoice template, I wonder, so edit. Double click to edit logo. I don't know if you can use any of these settings up here, but this is the one that I was going after, the source. I wonder if you can adjust the size like this. See how it says these, but I would find the, maybe search for logo. Again, not a programmer, but right here, I think you can adjust the size right there. Hopefully that helps. Chuck.
Awesome, you guys. Well, it is 10 o'clock here for us. All kinds of times for you guys. We really, really, really appreciate you spending the last day of your week with us, and we hope to see you again next week. Enjoy your weekend.
Bye, guys.
Bye.